All right. Welcome, Magical Mothers. I'm so glad and honored that you are here. We have a very special guest interview today for the Magical Mothers of the world, and her name is Jennifer Griffin. She has written a book called Understanding Your Child as a Spiritual Gift, and as I was reading through this book, I was astounded at how practical and yet just not talked about this is. And so I'm so excited for Jennifer to be here to share with us just using and knowing and being an awareness of this one new tool can have profound and effects through your whole life, through your child's whole life. So welcome, Jennifer. I'm so happy that you are here with us.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. And that was a wonderful introduction and so much of the message that I want to give people of how unbelievable this phenomenon is, yet how basic it is.
Yes. So if you could start out, how did this book, Understanding Your Child as a Spiritual Gift, come into play?
Well, it began with the birth of my second child, Arcada. She screamed and screamed from the moment she was born for about 2.5 straight years. And I started to notice a connection between my husband and her. And I didn't think she could scream anymore, but strangely, I found she did scream more when my husband was exhausted and tired. And I mentioned this to my chiropractor, and I said, I think there's a connection between them, and that the less he's expressing himself, the more she seems to take on his feelings. And she said, I think that's exactly what's going on. And I've seen that with some parents and children in my practice before. So with that, I started to develop this theory and collect stories. And I asked the spirit, well, if this is going on between my husband and my daughter, what's my purpose here? And deep inside, the divine said, you are to share this theory with the world through a book. And that made sense because I had already studied therapy, had a master's in counseling psychology, had developed more and more spirituality as my children had been born. So that's how it began.
And if you could, for those going, okay, I get it, when I'm upset or angry and I'm trying to get out of the house in the morning and my kids now are all of a sudden upset and angry, okay, I can see that. Is it more than that? Is there more going on than just I feel, they feel?
Yes, I do feel that the more you feel, the strange thing that happened with my husband, who's an extreme people pleaser, is the less he was feeling and the more he was trying to please, the more she was expressing. So if you're running around the house in the morning and you're expressing, well, I'm so frustrated and we've got to get out and we're going to be late for the 10th time. If you do that, then your kids actually often calm down. If you're in touch with that and you're not pretending and you're trying to authentically touch the place of it. Authenticity seems to really be the core of it. Now, if you are going, oh my gosh, we're going to be late for the 10th time again, but you're still beating yourself up inside about it, then your kid is still going to express that for you. And so there's a lot of connection around shame. So if you're inside feeling really awful about this, then it isn't going to calm your kid down. But if you're really okay with, okay, I'm accepting that we're going to be late. Being late isn't a big deal. And you're expressing that, then you will see a release in your child. The most times I see the release is when you have those thoughts in your head that you're keeping in your inside. Sometimes they're pressed so far you don't know they're there. But other times you do, you know they're there and you're just not saying them. Yeah. That's when you can find an outlet to say them. Is what I find most important.
And I found it really interesting that in the book you talked about how your husband found an outlet and was leaving voicemail messages for people that he felt comfortable enough to share these things with. And yet that wasn't enough, because it was kind of like okay, oh, thank goodness I got the voicemail. I don't actually have to talk to them, but I shared it. So there's still this element that you have authenticity that's so beautiful, because he wasn't being authentic. He didn't want to talk to them. He wanted to be able to leave the voicemail. So again, there's connection and authenticity and awareness. Those, I think, were like the three biggest takeaways for me.
Yes, those are very important factors. And I think for everyone, they have to find their exact place where they find that connection, authenticity, and awareness. And although the book does have a lot of practical hands-on tips for you, everyone has to find their own way, because you're going to have different messages. There's a great table, Decipher Your Child's Messages, in there. And there's a spot where you can fill in your own, because it's really important for you to realize, what are the patterns, as you've mentioned before on Magical Mothering? Do we still want to live like this? I think it was this past week. Like, do you want to change what you're doing? Do you want to listen and wake up? And you mentioned that, and that's part of what these messages are, is they really are the messages of the patterns that you're living over and over again.
Yeah. And I would say that this book is a wonderful tool to have in your Magical Mothering Magic Kit. Like, this book has so many practical applications, and they're not, oh man, that practical tip, I'm going to have to implement it and it's going to take me forever. No, it's like, wow. Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that right now. Yes. Okay. So, and you actually have a practical tip, one for each week of the year, right?
Yes. The 52 spiritually grounding activities to do with your child.
Yes.
Is in the appendix.
This book is it's so revolutionary. It's such a simple concept, and yet it's not discussed. And as we are evolving as parents and mothers, I just feel like this book needs to get into the hands of every mother, so that they understand and can help their spouses, our lovely husbands, who often are not connected with their own feelings, in a way that is so gentle and so loving and so not blaming or being in the victim stance anymore. It's so empowering for everybody in the family. So do you have anything else that you'd like to share with the moms? Maybe a story? Would you like to share a story of something of how this?
Yes. Well, some of the stories, I just had this huge revelation, and as I was writing the book, my third daughter, she and I are connected, and I was voted class slob in high school, and I have been working on it for years and years, and I get rid of all the stuff in my house here and there, but I still hold on so much. And I finally read The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying, and a light bulb went off for me, and she finally started getting rid of stuff. She has been hoarding stuff for so long, and she finally did it because I finally woke up, and I don't know how many of you out there spend time going through your kids' stuff and they don't want to get rid of it. And she got rid of, in 15 minutes, 4 bags of clothing. And I have spent hours and hours with her trying to get rid of stuff. And because I have now made a true commitment in a deeper core part of me, she is now ready and getting rid of stuff. And it is truly amazing. So that's the one thing I want to share. The other story, one of my favorite stories from the book, is the piano store. And we were driving with my second daughter past a piano store, and she said, oh my God, I'm so sick of how all we do is shop for pianos. We shop for pianos over and over. That's all we do. And her older sister and I looked at each other and said, that's really strange, because we don't ever shop for pianos. And I called my husband, as I've learned, to intervene in this channeling phenomenon. And I said, what is going on with you? And he said, I am so sick and tired of all these printers and computers I have to fix at school. And this teacher says I have to do it right now. And I don't have time because I have to go prepare for this class. And as soon as he expressed himself, she stopped talking about the pianos. And so it's this examples of where he's holding it inside and not expressing it to anyone and having difficulty setting the boundary. Yeah. That really where you can see this amazing release.
I love that. And so Jennifer and I have come up with a awesome way to get this book into your hands. We're gonna have you like Jennifer's page, and if you haven't liked my page already, then you can do that. And then you're gonna leave in the comments section a comment
about any time you may have seen this experience going on with you, or with you and your child, your partner and your child. Also, I am open to any comments about if you've seen this phenomenon, because I have books in the work about, have you seen this phenomenon between you and your pet? If there's any grandmothers out there, have you seen this with your grandchild, and maybe you don't know how to have the dialogue about it with your child? Any teachers out there who I've talked to many who have seen this dynamic with their students. Yes. So any stories and any ways that have been really effective for you to release the channeling. So any channeling stories and any ways you have found effective to release the channeling. That's what I would love to see in the comments.
All right. So that sounds perfect. So,
and if there, I wanted to add one more thing. If any of you have stories that maybe you want to email me directly because you might not want to publicly post, I want to be open to, I will give you my feedback about those stories. So if you want to email at jen@spiritualgiftinstitute.com, you can also do that, because sometimes people get stuck or they might not. Some of the stories can be pretty powerful. So I'm also open to that.
Perfect. And I will put your email into the link as well. That way people have that to refer to. So, and you're going to be commenting to get a free PDF ebook of understanding your child as a spiritual gift. And I'm telling you, if you don't win the free ebook, go to Amazon and buy the book, buy the ebook, buy the book in print. It's worth having on your bookshelf because it's so revolutionary and so easy to fix some really basic behavioral issues that often children are experiencing. And it's just because we as adults haven't learned the skills needed to express ourselves. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here and for sharing with us your amazing awareness and tool to help the magical mothers everywhere to create more connection, awareness, and what was the third one? Connection, awareness.
Awareness and authenticity.
Authenticity, yes. Thank you so much. So all you
Thank
magical
you,
mothers,
Stephanie.
You're very welcome. Have such a blessed day, and we will see you in the Facebook group.